Okay, so let's look at these problems. The problem says the jacket originally cost $40, but with tax it costs $46. What was the tax in percent? Okay, so I see a whole bunch of numbers. I know it's about percent, so again I'm going to do the original plus X percent of original is equal to my final amount. So do I know my original amount? Yeah, it says it originally cost $40. And in this case I'm adding tax, so I'm going to put plus X percent, but I don't know what that is, of 40 is equal to my final amount, which I do know, which is $46. Okay, so again, I want this X to be alone, so how do I undo it? Well, there's multiplication of 40 and addition of 40, so I'm going to deal with the addition of 40 by doing the opposite, subtract 40. So now I have X percent of 40 is equal to 6. Now how do I undo multiplication of 40? I would divide by 40, divide by 40. So now I have, let's put it over here, X percent is equal to 6 over 40. So again, now that I have X percent alone, how do I, or what does percent mean? It means X over 100 is equal to 6 over 40. And you could definitely do this, you could simplify this, cross multiply. When you do the mathematics, you would get 15 or 15%. Okay, let's move on. The wolf population in Connecticut was 50 in 2002, but now it grew to 150. By what percent did the wolf population increase? Okay, so again, I have the original plus X percent of the original is equal to the final amount. What was the original? It was 50. And do I know the increase? No, so I'm going to put X percent, but it was X percent of 50. Do I know the final amount? Yeah, it increased to 150. So I'm going to undo or subtract 50 from both sides. So I have X percent of 50 is equal to 100. Now how do I undo multiplication of 50? I divide by 50, divide by 50, so that cancels. So I'm left with X percent is equal to 2. Right, 100 divided by 50 is 2. So what does that mean? Okay, so I have X percent. How do I write percent? It'll be X divided by 100 is equal to 2. But how do I write 2 as a fraction? I could write it as over 1. I cross multiply, and what do I get? I would get X times 1 is X, and then 200 times 2, 100 times 2 is 200. So I get 200% increase. Well, what on earth does that mean? Well, think about it, because, for instance, first I was at 50, right? And that was 100% of the population. That's what I started with. And then, what did I add? Right, I added another 100%, which will be 50, and then I added another 100%, which is 50, right? All together, it gives me my total 150, right? So I started, right, the 50 is 100%, but then I'm adding another 100%, which is another 50, and then another 100%, which is another 50. So that's why I increase by 200%, because I'm adding this 100% and this 100% together to get to my 150. So moving on. And then Joan, well actually, you know what, Joan, can you read this for us?
Sure thing, Mr. Yoshii. Joan was 5 feet 4 inches tall in 6th grade. Now he is 6 feet tall. Joan's height increased by what percent?
Okay, thank you, Joan. So when you see a problem like this, when you see feet and inches, right, the first thing that I immediately think is, okay, I have to change both of them into feet or into inches. In this case, I think it would be easier to make it all into inches so I don't have to deal with fractions. So 5 feet, right, and there's 12 inches in a feet, so that's going to be 60, but I have 4 more, so that's a total of 64 inches when he was in 6th grade. how about when he was, well, now in 7th grade? Well, 6 feet, right, times 12, so that would give me 72 inches. So this is going to be my 7th grade. Okay. So I'm going to use these numbers to see by what percent did he increase by. So he was, right, so the original plus X percent of the original gives me the final. What did I start with? I started with 64. What did I increase by? I don't know. But I know I started at 64. The original is equal to, and I know my final is 72. So I subtract 64, I get X percent of 64, and in this case when I subtract, I get 8. Wait, do I get 8? Yeah, I get 8. Alright, and so when I get that, now I'm going to divide both sides by 64 because I want X percent to be alone. So this cancels, so let's actually bring it over here. I have X percent is equal to 8 over 64. Okay, so again, percent means divide by 100. So I have 8 over 64. And like I said, if you want to, you could just do, what is it called? Cross multiplication. And that's completely fine. But at the same time, right, you could also divide this right here. And what would I get? I would get X over 100 is equal to 1 over 8. So I would cross multiply and I would get 8x is equal to 100 and then divide both sides by 8. And therefore x is equal to, and I have to do this long division here, and that's fine. But you should get, and if you round, you would get 13%. Alright, so thanks for watching. See you later. The next lesson actually should be a lot easier than that. If you're a little bit confused about this, that's okay. I know it is a little bit challenging, right? There is going to be one problem on the quiz that looks something along these lines, but that'll be one problem, right? Hopefully you'll be able to do the other ones. Cheers!